Welcome to my sketching process. This is just going to be a video showing you guys how I do my Twisty Tree sketches. From beginning to end, I started not knowing what I was going to do and I ended knowing what my next piece was going to be. So this is just showing you my process that I go through. There's a few steps that go into it that most artists don't really show, and I'm not sure if they do the same thing. This is just what I do. So pretty much I have all these themes and I write them down, whether they're themes that I like or there's words I like that I could see myself doing a piece based off of, and I circle my top, I don't know, I think I did top 25 on this one without even thinking about it. I just kind of circled the ones I liked. After I figure out the ones I like, I usually count them out, and I think that's how I figured out I had about 25. After I count them out, I usually start sketching out some really small rectangles that are proportionate to what my final paper is gonna be. So I usually do a 4x6 piece for my Twisty Trees, so I just did little rectangles. They don't have to be perfect, obviously, but I try to get them close to proportion, and I just picked my top 12 out of the 25 I circled, just sort of narrowing down which ones I liked the best. And I usually do more than one of each, but for the sake of this video, I only did one of each of the themes that I did, or that I picked. So yeah, it was pretty much just for time purposes. I didn't want this video to be 6 hours long. And these are very short sketches. I think the most time I spent on one was 2 minutes tops, and I find that it's important to not spend that much time on a compositional study because this is just sort of getting my idea out on paper instead of just trusting what my brain is seeing and then trying to put it on paper. And a lot of times whenever I try and do that, it usually ends up not working. So I've gotten into the habit of doing many compositional studies just to see if my idea that's in my head will actually work on paper. And these are by no means beautiful. These are messy sketches that I took less than 2 minutes on. So don't think, if you're going to try this process, don't think that they have to be perfect, because that took a really long time for me to realize, and it sucks whenever you're a perfectionist and you're trying to make these little tiny itty bitty sketches like perfect. It's not gonna work out and you're gonna be really frustrated. So if you try this, just don't worry about it at this point. As you can see, they are nowhere near perfect, and that's okay. After that, I usually just flip to the next page or just use the next page as available in my sketchbook, and I make sort of a larger study, more of a final study. This usually just helps me enlarge the one that I like the best. I chose the first one, which was, I think, stripes, and I might actually speed paint this one. I'm not really sure. I actually really like it. So this stage is just sort of to enlarge, like I said, the smaller study so I can see what else I can fit into it, because in a 1x2 inch rectangle, you're not going to be able to figure out everything you want in that picture. It's just sort of a baseline, I guess. Just a little base study to see what else you can fit. And I think I only had like 4 or 5 blades of grass in the sketch, and I added like so many more. And I added a big cloud in the background, which I didn't know I was going to have there before. So that just goes to show that enlarging it does help. At least it helps me anyway. some people can just do it right on their final paper. I can't do that. After that, I am lazy, and this is the first piece in my Twisty Tree series that I have for my portfolio class. I measured this one out with a ruler and did all the measurements and stuff, so I know it's correct. So I'm lazy, and I just take a piece of sketch paper, put it underneath, and I trace the outside to get the outside measurements pretty close, if not exact, to the first one. So it helps me stay constant throughout it without having to do too much work. I cut those out, and I'm left with like 4 little strips or something like that, so it takes up, you know, quite a bit of paper, so I'm not really wasting that much paper. After that, I place it underneath, and I roughly sketch the inside frame. Since I do the storybook-ish edges, it doesn't really matter if it's perfect or not, because it's going to look wobbly anyway. And then I put it back. Then this is when the final sketch comes in. This is the one that I'm going to use on my light table or light box and trace it onto my final paper. This is the one that I want to look the best. So pretty much every sketch that I do ends up being longer and longer and longer. This one I think I want to say it took about 20 minutes, just because I wanted it to be exactly how I wanted the final piece to look like. So, you know, I messed around with the grass blades, and I messed around with the branches a little bit and the cloud. So this is pretty much just my way of finalizing my sketch and figuring out what exactly I want it to look like. And I think that's the last thing on here, so I will let you guys experiment with this if you guys want to try it. Let me know if it works, and I'll see you later.